This is Morrissey from the Smiths making a test. This is Morrissey from the Smiths making a test. Tell it. It's very strange and nobody will believe it, but the Smiths were never asked to play the Roskilde Festival. And when we went to Finland a few months ago, people were repeatedly saying to me, "See you in Roskilde." And I never actually knew what they were talking about until I asked one of them. And they said, "Well, you're on the posters, you're playing Roskilde." And I was really upset by this because I couldn't understand how we were on the bill for something that we had never been asked about. And so when we returned to England, we spoke to our booking company, and they just they wiggled out of the whole issue. And it turned out eventually that the report was that I was ill, or that I was having a nervous breakdown or something I couldn't play, which of course was completely untrue because I was in perfect health. I got many, many letters from people who came to see us, and that made things much, much worse, because it seems that when things always go wrong, people just blame the group. And I don't like that, because there are many other factors in promoting groups.
So what did the people write to you? Was it Danish people?
Yes, I got many, many letters. People who were very upset, who had travelled many miles to come and see the group. So it was a very bad situation, and the Smiths get the blame for the situation, which makes me very upset. But what can I say?
How do you feel about it today? Are you sorry about it, or are you angry?
I'm both. I'm very, very sorry, and I'm very angry, because I hate it when people travel to see us and that situation arises, which it never does, but in this case I felt it very strongly, and I feel that we have to go there as soon as possible to make up for certain things. If people want to see us, we will be there.
Background. Where do you come from? How old are you? All these fantastic questions.
I'm 25 years old, and I come from Manchester, which is quite a bleak place. I don't really have a very interesting past. I was unemployed for many, many years until we formed the Smiths almost 2 years ago. Previous to that, there's really not much to say that would really interest anybody.
What did you do being unemployed? Did you go for crime, or did you go for other things?
No, I tried crime. No, I just wrote and I read, and I did those kind of things. I was quite isolated, and I was quite a lonely person. I didn't socialise, and I didn't have lots of friends. So for me, it was just years of self-development, working towards this, because I knew that when this happened, that I'd have to be prepared for it. Because many people come into this and they're just not prepared, and they fall apart and they don't last very long. So I was very determined to have almost every aspect of the music industry sewn up before the Smiths began.
How did you do that practically?
I think it just requires concentration. You just have to think about the situation, and you just have to imagine yourself in the situation before you're actually in it. So you say, well, what would I say if somebody asked me this? And what would I do if this happened to me? So when it all happened, I was completely prepared.
Your imagination was big enough for this? Had you really imagined this thing to happen?
Completely. I'd imagined almost everything. I feel that we have to be the first group that breaks down all kinds of barriers, race barriers, class, sex, everything. Everything has to be broken down. I look at our audience and I just see principally people. I don't see men or women, or I can't segregate them in any way. I mean, they're just simply people. And I feel that the way I write songs, that they can almost appeal to anybody. They're not easily definable. And so that's what I like. I like to be honest, and I like to be open about things, because we haven't had any people in popular music who are forthright and open about the way they feel. They won't say, I'm very unhappy and I want this, and I don't want to work, and things like that. People are always so silent when it comes to important issues, but I don't want to be that way, and I want to bring people together.
To me that sounds like a new kind of polar humanity, concerning sex, concerning feelings, concerning that. sort of things?
I think we need that. We need to break down those barriers because life is hard enough in 1984, what with nuclear weapons and with everything pushing people apart, unemployment certainly in this country, that the last thing we need is segregation in popular music because let's face it, everybody likes popular music. Everybody has their favourite record. Everybody listens to the radio and people are just waiting for somebody to say something. And so we have to look upon popular music as the most important sphere that's left in the world. People don't care about films anymore. A lot of people don't watch television. So all that we have left now really is popular music. And if popular music can't bring people together and crush violence, then, you know, what hope do we have? I always had this very vague idea of meeting Sandy Shaw and working with her and actually having a hit record. And it happened. And it's quite strange when it happens. She hadn't had a hit for 15 years and she really wanted one. And as far as I'm concerned, it was a great success. I don't think she quite saw it that way, but I do. It got a great deal of attention in this country. It broke into the top 30. It sold very well. I'm really pleased.
Did you have any feeling of having to pull off the dust of Sandy Shaw?
Vaguely, yes, because I thought the records that she had made in recent years were too soft and were too mature and old-fashioned. And Sandy had a great deal of youthful energy, and I wanted that to come out on the record. And I think that it did. She recorded Hand in Glove, which was the first record that we ever made. So I was very, very pleased that we put her back in the charts after all that time. We have a single coming out here almost immediately called William, It Was Really Nothing, and this week we're recording the next single, which is called Nowhere Fast, which I think is the most strongest and provoking thing we've ever done. It's a little bit more serious, and it takes us away from the pop mainstream that we have fallen into in this country at any rate.
What's provocative about it, man?
There are certain references to the monarchy, but it's not provocative in an outrageous way. It's not an outrageous record, or it's not dangerous, but it's always very suspect in this country if you mention the monarchy, if you mention royalty.
I think I remember you once said that you'd like to take your pants off in front of the Queen. Is this something like it, or?
Well, it's exactly like it, yes. That is the song, and that is some of the lyrics. So it will be construed as being quite strange.
But is there any logical reason for it then, or is it just for the fun of it?
What, for dropping one's trousers to the Queen? No, it is quite logical. It's just like, I mean, when you do that in this country, it's the ultimate insult to anybody, obviously. But as I quite despise the monarchy, that's just the way I see things, and that's the intellectual statement that I want to make.